Hello. Just waiting a few seconds. I announced on Instagram that I was coming live, so I was gonna wait and see if anyone would be free to join for a live Q&A. I'm just gonna give it a couple seconds. It still says like loading on my screen. So, like I said, I notified people on Instagram that I was going live, and a lot of people said that they weren't going to make it because I think they're watching The Bachelorette tonight. So I was like, we'll see who joins. But this is probably the last live Q&A that I will be doing until maybe halfway through January, so well into the new year, because once Christmas comes, it's getting crazy. We're going to be just really busy. So I wanted to come on one more time before the new year, say hi, answer last couple questions that you guys might have, see how everybody's doing. Just checking in because I had a little bit of free time tonight. Hello, thanks for joining. You guys can comment below any questions that you have. Also, let me know how you're doing. I genuinely want to know how everyone's doing. We're going back into lockdown this week, so definitely really sad about that, and sad that Christmas is off the table. It's definitely like a little bit emotional around here, so I'd love to know what's happening with you guys and just see how everyone's doing. So feel free to let me know, and I will answer a couple questions. Before I do, I want to let you guys know that I made a massive, all-inclusive post about PCOS, hair thinning. When women have hair thinning, it's the same idea, and it's triggered by the same mechanisms as male pattern balding. The hair loss that we both experience, both men and women, is definitely due to major hormonal imbalances. So I made an entire article. It's in depth with supplements, with everything you need to know about specifically why there are hormonal imbalances, how they are triggered. This article is mainly about PCOS, so how women develop it, anything you need to know about that. Again, supplements to take, hair thinning things, all that kind of stuff. And it's over on the membership platform, Holisticspringorg. I share a lot of really cool information that you have not heard anywhere else from other practitioners. It's a really exclusive platform that I can speak openly on. For those of you who don't know, I am partially blocked on Instagram. I don't know why. Again, it's just an email or a notification saying going against community guidelines. I am always very careful to not make claims and to be careful with what I post, but at the end of the day, I am posting holistic stuff, and that's obviously not aligned with, you know, Instagram and Facebook and all that. So this platform gives me complete freedom to share what I want. So I have COVID protocols on there. I'm bringing another COVID protocol onto there when I have a minute, with specifically homeopathics. I have just a lot of really cool, again, information that you won't hear about anywhere else, and I can speak freely and openly. So I would love to have you guys join me there. It's holisticspring.org. I will link it in the description once I upload this video. I have live monthly video calls there with everybody. We have a chat room, forums where you can ask me literally any questions at any time and get very fast replies, but in depth. Like sometimes I leave like a massive, massive paragraph of a reply. So I can be really thorough there, and definitely can share a little bit more openly. So again, I would love to have you guys join that platform. There's a small fee involved, and that's honestly just to cover the cost of the platform. It costs us $850 approximately every month to keep it up and running. Prices are really, really high, and we actually just got notification that they're upping the cost of our platform come January. So the fee that I'm charging is just to cover what we're paying every month. So I would love to have you guys there, and we also have like free supplements for people who join and all kinds of perks. So anyway, I'm gonna start answering questions now. My phone's tipping, sorry. And I guess I'll start with the top one, which is jasmine rice bad for eczema? So yes and no. I love rice and I do consume it right now, but at certain points within your healing journey, you would need to avoid it. So if you're currently having eczema and it's a result of dysbiosis, so some type of pathogenic overgrowth, you want to cut out starches and foods that are high in carbs so that you're not feeding these pathogens. So in that case, yes, you would want to cut out jasmine rice because it would trigger a flare up. But down the line, once your eczema is more managed and you're feeling much better, there's no reason why you can't have it. I would say, I know it might be difficult depending where you live, but if you're able, try for organic jasmine rice, because when it's not organic, it has a lot of sprays on it. You also want to try to find a rice that's lower in arsenic. Grains can be very high in arsenic, and arsenic toxicity is pretty common. So just look into that as well. And sorry, my voice is a little bit raspy today because I'm getting sick. So I have a sore throat, I'm slightly sick. So I'm sipping on, I don't know if you guys can see inside, but warm water with like a tiny bit of manuka honey and some ginger and lemon. Tastes really good and it just helps to soothe, but I don't know how long I will be able to get this live going because my throat's hurting. Hi Daniel, how are you doing? I hope you guys are all doing really good. Is anybody going into lockdown? I know I have followers from all over the place, so I'm just curious to see who's going in lockdown, who's already in lockdown. It's crazy because COVID started exactly pretty much a year ago, and we were in lockdown, at least around my area, in quarantine for 4.5 months, and now we're back, and it's just kind of frustrating. Okay, next question. What is your alternative to coffee? Do you have anything for energy boosting in the start of your day? Great question, Kevin. Yes, I have a couple ideas that I want to share. The first one, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I'm a matcha girl. So I do love matcha lattes. It's high in antioxidants. You're still getting the caffeine for energy, but you're getting anti-inflammatory benefits. You're getting EGCG, which can help fight viruses. It can help your heart. There's a lot of benefits to matcha, and it's alkaline, whereas coffee is acidic. So I do like that. That's my preference. I do know that not everybody likes the taste of it, although I think if you don't like the taste of matcha, you probably haven't had it made correctly, but to each their own. So if matcha is not something that you're liking necessarily, there is a type of tea, and I never know if I'm pronouncing this right, but I think it's called rooibos. So Rooibos. It's a black tea, but it's the only black tea that you can have that doesn't actually trigger Th2 dominance. So things like coffee and regular tea will push you to more towards the Th2 dominance side, which isn't ideal, especially if you have any like health issues. But this is the only tea that doesn't. So if you want caffeine, you want that flavor, rooibos tea, so Rooibos is good. And then also matcha. Those are my go-tos. A lot of people really like, I think it's called Dandy Blend, Dandy blend. I personally don't consume it because it's from, I think, barley and rye, I want to say, and obviously being gluten-free, I don't consume that. But it's like I've had it before I was like avoiding gluten, and it tastes very similar to coffee, kind of like a chicory flavor. So it's really, really good. It doesn't have caffeine though, from what I recall. So you might want to still add a boost of something to that. Maybe like take a B complex for energy. So I hope that helps. Let me see. This one's from Roman Costin. My screen is dimmed, so the battery life lasts, so it's hard to read, so just give me a second here. Okay, so Roman says keto is really popular, and I was curious if you think this trendy diet is healthy long term. So I actually made a video a couple months ago, maybe a year ago, on the keto diet and exactly my thoughts on when it should be done and when it shouldn't. I think it's definitely has great benefits and its time and its place, but it's not for everyone, and I don't think it should be done long term. The quickest explanation, and I go into this extremely in depth on my membership platform if you want to know more, but long story short, keto diet's very, very high in saturated fats, so coconut oil, avocado, ghee, that kind of stuff. Saturated fats trigger this immune response in the body, that we call antigen presentation. This antigen presentation is when your immune system comes in and it takes fragments of your tissue, so skin in the case of psoriasis, or maybe kidneys in the case of lupus, joints in the case of rheumatoid arthritis. So it takes a fragment of your tissue and it presents it to the immune system and it says, target this or destroy this tissue, thinking that it's a pathogen or a toxin or something like that. So antigen presentation gets triggered by saturated fat. So if you have autoimmune, sorry, I'm just tipping this. If you have autoimmune, or if you have any sort of like inflammatory condition, I would suggest avoiding a lot of saturated fats because you'll get a lot of that antigen presentation. The time that it's really beneficial is when you're trying to clear pathogens. So if you have candida overgrowth or parasitic overgrowth, going on a keto diet is really helpful because one, you're cutting out carbs and starch, so you're cutting off these pathogens' fuel source. But two, this antigen presentation that I was just talking about, it'll take, if you have a high level of pathogens in the body, it takes a fragment of those pathogens and it shows it to your immune system and it says kill off this candida or these parasites. So in that case, you want that antigen presentation because you want your body to go in and wipe out that population that shouldn't be there. So it has a time and a place. I think it's great, again, if you're on some type of like pathogenic cleanse, absolutely you want to do keto or at least something similar, but it needs to be done right. And something that gets me really flustered is when I see people on the keto diet, but they're living off of bacon and butter, and that's not how it should be done. Your keto diet should actually be full of vegetables, high fiber, like flax and chia seeds and coconut milk, lean, good quality proteins. You shouldn't be like, having a ton of like bacon and that kind of stuff. So if it's done right and it's done at the proper time, it can be beneficial. But again, for anyone who has autoimmune and especially who's currently in a flare up, you don't want to be doing high levels of saturated fats such as coconut oil, avocados, ghee, because this will trigger that antigen presentation, which will definitely get your immune system interested again in your self tissue, and it will go in to destroy your self tissue, and that will trigger a flare up. So just be careful with that. Again, if you want to know more, a lot more on this topic, it's all on the membership platform. So I hope that answers your question. But I also, again, have a YouTube video touching on the keto diet too, which you can search. Okay, this one's from Pretty J. How long should you take oregano oil for candida? I heard it's really strong and shouldn't be long term. Yes, so I personally don't use oregano oil for candida or for anything really. Once in a while I've taken it more for immune support. The reason why is it can really damage the linings within your digestive tract. So it can damage stomach lining, it can damage intestinal lining if it's taken too long or in too high of a dose. It is very potent, so there aren't any studies indicating that it does not kill probiotics in the gut. So because it's so strong, it might kill the bad, but it might also be killing the good. There's a lot of other concerns that I have with oregano oil in a sense, just because it's so aggressive. I think that it can trigger a little bit of inflammation personally, and just based on the research that I've done and all that, it's definitely not my go-to choice for an antifungal. I can't really tell you here how long you should take it for because everybody's different and you might benefit really well from it and you might need it, but I don't know how long you might need it for, especially if you're not a client. So I can't really tell you how long. What I would say is if you're using oregano oil, follow the bottle dosage or guidelines. And I personally, like for my family, and this is different for everyone, you might not even be able to take it this long. But if we were to take it, say when we're sick, I would never take it for more than a week or two at a time. So that's just my personal opinion. Professionally, I can't really give an opinion unless I'm working with you because, again, I've seen like a client has come to me, several, not just one, have come to me in the past because they've had H. pylori and were told to take oregano oil and they were taking it for like 6 months straight. And they ended up with diverticulitis and all kinds of extreme mucosal membrane issues within the gut. And going back, it was definitely irritated by the oregano oil. So it was just causing this this inflammation to the lining because it was taken for too long. So work with a practitioner if you're going to take it. My go-to choice for antifungals is black walnut. I'm a huge fan. It has so many benefits that I won't go into here. But black walnut, I really like the black walnut combination #1 from Genestra, which you can find on puremarket.ca. This specific one has things like wormwood and clove and other stuff in there that aren't just targeting candida, but parasites and even viruses. So black walnut's my go-to. Caprylic acid specifically, if you are specifically targeting candida, is really beneficial. I also like using homeopathics as well. And what else do we use? I use berberis too, berberis capsules. Those are really, really good. So those are my go-to for antifungals. Okay. Okay, so this is from, oh, I can't really read it. I want to say, I see LTIGR maybe. But my screen is too dim to read that. But the question is started doing an 8 paleo diet for my boyfriend having chronic cough. Got much better, but then returned. Trying to figure out where it went wrong. Would a test help at the moment? Okay, not quite understanding the question. So your boyfriend had chronic cough, so he was doing an 8 paleo diet, but the cough returned. So if I'm understanding your question, you're just saying, why is his cough returning when he was following a good diet, essentially? If that is the question, and feel free to correct me in the comments, diet alone, in my opinion, doesn't really fix any condition. It'll definitely improve it. It definitely strengthens the body and it regulates a lot. But if you're having something chronic, and chronic is anything that's like 2+ months persistence. If you have anything chronic, diet alone is just not going to cut it. At that point, your body's too out of balance to do something on its own with just diet, especially like the gut. Even if you're eating really, really good, if you have leaky gut or anything like that, you're not even probably going to be digesting the foods that you're eating or absorbing any of the nutrients in there. So I don't think diet's enough. I think you need to supplement. There's so many things that you could be supplementing with depending what his condition is. And I think that is when you'll see the improvement and potentially not having those recurring flare-ups. So diet alone is not enough, which is probably why it returned. Initially, he feels a little bit better eating good, and he should continue eating well, but you need to get to the root cause of the condition. Chronic cough could be from mold, it could be from fungal overgrowth, it could be from lung toxicity, it could be from inflammation in the lungs. There's a host of things that could be triggering it, and you want to get to that root cause and then give him supplements for it, and that would take care of it with a good diet. So I'm just gonna okay, I think we're good there. So okay, this one's from Dale. Was gonna start drinking aloe juice again, then I saw some, oh, phone sliding again. Sorry guys, was gonna do aloe juice again, and then I saw some side effects on it saying it's bad for your kidneys and was wondering your thoughts on it. Okay, so I see a lot of people mention this to me. So the first thing to remember is that with any supplement you take, you don't ever want to be on it long term. So everything is going to have an issue. For example, if you're on, I don't know, you could be on a vitamin C long term, and that can create mucosal issues again with the gut lining, or it can create kidney issues, it can create liver issues, because nothing in our body, nothing that we're taking supplement wise is ever meant to be used chronically. So our bodies should be getting everything we need from food, and when it's not, that's when we supplement to support it, but then we stop again once our body's doing better. So with aloe and any other supplement, you never want to just take it chronically. If you're taking it, seasonally, maybe a month on, 2-3 months off, there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously check with your practitioner if you have major kidney issues that you can't tolerate the minerals in there, but there's nothing wrong with doing that. I personally did aloe a lot back in the day because it was so soothing for the gut, and it really helped my IBS and my psoriasis. But at the end of the day, again, it's something that you don't, with anything, you don't want to consume anything for the rest of your life or too often or too frequently. So take it when you need it and then stop taking it. I've heard people with, again, taking like magnesium long-term to help them sleep. And then they ended up with, issues with their kidneys or with something else, or they ended up with a calcium imbalance. So anything you take needs to be done correctly and in balance, and not chronically unless your practitioner is advising it. So aloe, I think, is a wonderful thing. And if you can, try to get whole leaf aloe. So it's like a food. You could throw it in a smoothie. There's nothing wrong with consuming that regularly. If you just buy a leaf from your store, depending where you live, a lot of grocery stores carry it. Just take the inside out, throw it in a smoothie, and blend it up. And you can have that regularly because it is a food. But if you're specifically doing the juice, that's considered maybe more of a supplement, and that might be something you want to do seasonally. That would be a good idea. Okay, this one is from Pretty J again. So could eczema be spreading because of candida, or is there another reason it spreads so fast and so much? So like any skin conditions, they are quite aggressive because there are multiple root causes. So to lay it out simply and briefly without going on too long, a couple of the root causes would be dysbiosis, absolutely, because when you have overgrowth of bacteria or viruses or parasites, they're triggering so much inflammation to the immune system because of their toxins. And they're very, their presence is well known in the body. And so it's creating a lot of disturbances. So that absolutely can trigger eczema or make it flare up much worse. Food sensitivities is always at the top. And typically, when someone gets a food sensitivity panel done and they cut out their food sensitivities, their eczema calms down very quickly. The other thing is major nutrient deficiencies, things like glutathione or N-acetylcysteine, vitamin C, resveratrol, like certain deficiencies in antioxidants and minerals. These absolutely can trigger it as well, because our body needs specific balances of free radical quenchers and minerals and all this kind of stuff. And if they're not in the body or present in the body, a lot of processes can't take place. A lot of anti-inflammatory processes can't take place. So super important to make sure you're getting those antioxidant levels up with things like resveratrol, glutathione, N-acetylcysteine, etc. The other thing is poor emunctory function. If your liver and kidneys and maybe even lungs are not eliminating properly, everything that you do in a day, maybe some stress that you're exposed to, or a little bit of toxicity from your diet, even if you're having a perfectly clean diet, there's always toxins produced through metabolism. Or if you have dysbiosis and they're producing toxins, when your emunctories aren't working, you have toxins every day that you're exposed to from your environment, from internally, from your diet. Those have to be eliminated somehow. And if they can't exit through the proper channels, they will be pushed out through a secondary channel, aka the skin. So there's a lot of things you need to look at. If there's chronic viral presence, those two will trigger what we call Th2 dominance, and those are an issue. So you got to look at your immune modulation and make sure that your immune system's in balance. So again, at the end of the day, you need to figure out what's your biggest problem and then address it. But those things like food sensitivities, dysbiosis, poor elimination from your emunctories, these are all very important things to look into and address all at the same time, not just one at a time. You need to cover everything and work on it over time in the long run to kind of quiet down that flare up. Roman, I'm over in St. Catharines, excited for the new lockdown. Yeah, so you're right near me. I'm in Niagara, and we have a massive family, so kind of sad we don't all get to be together for Christmas. Okay, Fatima asks, can I use pomegranate molasses in the candida diet? Probably not. I think there's too much sugar in that, so I would say no, but afterwards, absolutely. This is from Nakib. I had IBS. Your videos helped me a lot overcoming it. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear. Thank you for sharing that. You guys make my day when I hear some good testimonials. Daniel says he's in the UK and he's already in lockdown. I have a bunch of clients who are in the UK, and they just texted me the other day saying that they just went into lockdown. So I'm so sorry. I don't know when this is going to end. I don't think there's ever going to be an end to it. I think that there's just going to constantly be new lockdowns coming up. So I don't know how we'll get through it, but I hope that you guys do have a great Christmas regardless, and just can find a way to make the most of it and hang in there. Hang in there. It's not a fun time for anyone right now. Kevin says not a full lockdown here in Michigan. Oh, that's good. I have tons of relatives. We're Middle Eastern, so we have a lot of Iraqi relatives in Michigan, and yeah, they were saying it's not as intense there as it is where we are right now. So that's good to hear. So hopefully you get to be with some family and maybe I don't know, have a good Christmas and make the most of it again. I know, like, even depending on like the person, like in our area right now, the minute limit is 5 people. So with our 5-person limit, I have 7 siblings and half of us are married with kids. So that automatically just like there's no way we could get together. But in other areas, I know their minimum is 15 people or 20 people. That's so much more doable. So I kind of wish we had that here. So we could at least have a partial Christmas, with some of our relatives or siblings. But I'm glad that at least it's not a full lockdown there. Okay. Shauna asks, what can I do to reduce high levels of inflammation in the body? Also, is high levels of inflammation linked to candida overgrowth? So, first of all, to reduce high levels of inflammation, you need to figure out if you are Th2 dominant or Th1 dominant, what's going on there. Typically, across the board, a couple ways to reduce inflammation without altering your immune balance or without tipping yourself one way or another is to, one, reduce food sensitivity. So, take a test and cut those out if you feel like you have food sensitivities. Um, and two, consume things like probiotics, lots of like alkaline foods like greens and leafy green vegetables, whether it's you're steaming it or having it raw. Just getting a lot of greens makes you really alkaline. That can help. And eating, farm to table. So when you have, sorry, just gonna get comfortable here. When you have processed snacks, things that have been in a factory, so in one way or another processed in a factory, even if it's organic, gluten-free stuff, it's going to trigger inflammation. So your body wants foods that it can recognize and that have not been altered. So eating farm to table, things that have literally been grown on a farm and are now on your plate, skipping the factory is the best way to eat when you have chronic inflammation and when you need to bring it down. Another thing that can help you so much if you don't have blood sugar issues or like if you're not pregnant is getting autophagy to happen. So I have tons of information on this on the membership platform. But essentially, you want to do intermittent fasting for minimum 16 hours to get your body into that autophagy phase so it can clear out debris. And clearing out debris from your cells and eliminating it is how your body can regulate and work a little better. So super important. Those are just some things. Obviously, curcumin, resveratrol, glutathione can be really helpful, but these you want to be a little more careful with before supplementing just to make sure that you're not going to tip yourself one way or another. If you have colon inflammation, slippery elm is amazing, and aloe vera gel is amazing for that. So there's some things you can do. Inflammation can definitely be linked to overgrowth, to dysbiosis, but it also could be linked to a million and one other things. It could be linked to too much iron or heavy metals in the body, to viruses. It could be linked to poor elimination from your pathways. It could be linked to food sensitivity. So you want to get to the root cause of it. I know quite a few people who have chronic inflammation, but who do not have dysbiosis. So I've worked with a few people who have no overgrowth, but they have inflammation from other things. So you want to get to the root cause, either working with a practitioner or just trial and error with yourself if you want to do your own research and trying things out. It just usually costs a bit more when you're trying things, and if they might not work, you spend a little bit more money. But hopefully those suggestions helped. Okay, let me just see here. Okay. I'm going to end the video soon, so I'm kind of just scrolling through comments, just seeing what's here. Pretty J says, thank you. I've heard about black walnut, but I'm allergic to English walnut, so I wasn't sure if I should avoid walnut altogether. I'm not sure. That's something you would am I blurry? There we go. That's something you would have to maybe get a sensitivity test for. But there's so many alternatives, then you don't just have to use black walnut. So again, caprylic acid or clove capsules. You can do berberis, homeopathics. There's lots of options out there that just don't involve black walnut. You can do just wormwood. So look into other options. It doesn't, again, have to be that, but that is my favorite personally. So Shauna also asked, could high levels of inflammation be because I had my gallbladder removed? 100%. So again, on the membership platform, holisticspring.org, I have an entire blog post explaining the connection between gallbladder removal and high histamine. So having your gallbladder removed is creating a constant drip of bile into the intestinal system, and this is triggering your mast cells to release histamine. So all my clients who have had their gallbladders removed have some kind of histamine overload. I share in that post how to clear it, how to do it, what you want to take, a bunch of supplements. But essentially, whenever you have a gallbladder removed, you tend to have higher levels of histamine. So that could be your source of inflammation or that trigger. And unfortunately, I feel like doctors nowadays are, too quick to remove organs, and sometimes without trying other alternative methods before they do that. But once it's gone, you need to do things like charcoal to bind this, or cholestyramine or something like that, like some kind of sequestrant agent to bind to the bile and eliminate the bile acids through your stool so they're not constantly irritating the intestinal system. I go into tons of information and in depth on that blog post. You guys can check it out on the membership platform. But essentially, you don't want constant dripping of bile. You only want bile released when you're eating, when there's food in the intestines, not when the intestines are empty. So absolutely, gallbladder removal can be a trigger for your inflammation. Okay, there are quite a few questions here. Let me just scroll a little bit more. I think I'm going to end the video here, guys. My throat's getting pretty sore, so I need to finish my drink, and then I'm probably going to go take a hot bath or something and just try to wind down for the night. But I will come back into the new year and do another live Q&A. And on the membership platform, I do 2 live Q&As every single month, and it's interactive. So we go back and forth with questions either through the chat room or just audio, or some people even turn their video on. So if you want more help, you also can post in the forums. You get a lot of support from me, and it's all one-on-one. So just let me know if you guys have any questions about it, but I will link it down below. It's holisticspring.org, and I would love to have you guys join. We have a lot of perks there too, and discount codes on supplements and all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to leave the video here. Thank you to everybody who's wishing me a Merry Christmas and for just popping on here, saying hi, joining. I hope you guys have the best Christmas and just can make the most of this crappy situation that we're in. But I hope you guys have just a beautiful time with your families. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, I just hope you have a beautiful upcoming week and a very, very happy new year. Just remember that no matter how bad things get or how bad things might seem, we are all blessed and we are all alive and we're well. And that's the most important. And having, even just a couple people who are like-minded can be really helpful. So I would love to have you guys join me over on Instagram and just hang out. And even with just knowing that everybody there is kind of on the same page and we're all holistic and we're all here for our health, it just can give you that sense of community. So I would love to have you guys follow me on my socials and just connect with me, because I am not present enough on YouTube, not as much as I'd like to be. So anyway, thank you all so much for joining. I hope you have a beautiful Christmas, a beautiful new year, and I will talk to you all soon. Take care.